In this video, we're going to cover some of the cut content of the Elder Scrolls Online, namely, the content or features that did not make the final iteration of the game when it launched back in 2014. You can find a lot more of this cut content that we don't cover in this video on the unofficial Elder Scrolls page section covering cut content linked in the video description below. First on the list is Cloaks and Capes. That's right, Cloaks and Capes. This much requested fashion piece people have wanted for years in the Elder Scrolls Online actually was displayed during several ESO showcases before its official launch in 2014. Why didn't cloaks or capes appear in ESO though? Apparently, according to some offhand remarks from a couple of developers over the years and accepted player speculation, cloaks and capes didn't work very well with the custom-built game engine of ESO, and the performance issues that could arise as a result of the cloaks and capes didn't make it worth it. It seems that the cloaks and capes were scrapped before the launch, potentially as well due to the time and cost. Next on the list is the Balfira Battlegrounds. Long before Battlegrounds became a thing in 2017, a prototype of the PvP game mode in the Elder Scrolls Online existed as early as 2014, when there was a PvP competition held during QuakeCon that same year, which showcased both the map and the game mode. The original Battlegrounds only featured Balfira as the site of yet another Three Banners War battlefield, so you'd only have Ebonheart Pact, Aldmeri Dominion, and Daggerfall Covenant teams. This was obviously scrapped for multiple reasons after the 1 Tamriel update, and of course the fact that the newest tutorial area is also on the Isle of Balfira is going to make it a little hard. Interestingly enough, the base game's main questline with the Prophet, Lyris, Titanborn, Molong, and so on actually takes place on the Isle of Balfira at one point in the questline. Next, this is for those who didn't particularly care for the base game AD zones and questline beyond Razum-Dar and Kate Beckinsale voicing Queen Iren. The original Aldmeri Dominion questline was going to be an absolute banger in my opinion. For the first time in the Elder Scrolls franchise history, the Imga race was going to be shown. For those of you who don't know what Imga are, they are a great ape species or ape-men beast folk that have their own culture and civilization that have only been referred to vaguely in previous Elder Scrolls games and lore. There would have been at least 2 Imga settlements you could visit in the game called Cliffvoot and Ukvoot, where you could see Imga NPCs living their ape lives. And if you've ever wondered why DC and EP have 2 starter zones, for DC, it's Trostum Kai and Betnik, and for EP, it's Bleak Rock Isle and Valfoyen, yet AD only has Kynarthi's Roost, with double the Sky Shards. Well, AD was also actually supposed to have a second starter zone too, just like the 2 other factions called Rictus. And Rictus had a variety of locations that seemed a bit more interesting than the features of Kynarthi's Roost. In addition to Rictus, there was going to be Somerset before the Somerset chapter in 2018 that would feature Slode, Imga, and Malmer, but that also never came to be. Of course, we can't talk about cut content without talking about the absolutely awesome planned sequels to the base game dungeons that also didn't make it into the game. If you've ever wondered why there's no sequel to the Vaults of Madness dungeon or Vallonfell dungeon in ESO, well, it's because there were supposed to be sequels such as Direfrost Keep 2, Arx Corinium 2, Blackheart Haven 2, Blessed Crucible 2, Selene's Web 2, Tempest Island 2, Vaults of Madness 2, and Vallonfell 2. All of these were scrapped in favor of the new DLC dungeon system that was implemented for separate quarters of the year. The Direfrost Keep 2 was given a completely different exterior map that would continue the story of Direfrost Keep. Arx Corinium was also given a new map to explore as well, and some of its designs were actually used for the Shadows of the Hiss DLC dungeons. Blackheart Haven 2 would actually see you find out who Shifty Tom's master was. Blessed Crucible 2 would have let players defend their title as the Blessed Crucible champion, which is a pretty cool idea. Selene's Web 2 was basically scrapped in favor of Lair Marsalok. Vaults of Madness 2 would feature Gaston Shamran, the heavily implied sequel antagonist of a potential sequel, taking up the role as the next Mad Architect. And Vallonfell 2 would have actually let us clean up the mess we created with the Guardian's Eye and the Undead at the end of the first quest. Next, the Imperial City PvX zone would have looked a bit different. The Memorial District would have been called the Market District, just like in Test 4 Oblivion, while Dark Anchors would crash down into the Market, Nobles, and Arboretum districts, requiring players to clear those Dark Anchors before capturing said districts. Oh, by the way, only the Market, Nobles, and Arboretum districts would have been capturable, and this was before the IC DLC actually came out in 2015, so the groundwork for capturable districts, which came out a bit after launch, was already there. But could you imagine some IC districts looking like the Alakir Desert Dolmen trains? Last but not least, and we even made a whole video covering this cut feature last year, spellcrafting. Spellcrafting was showcased for ESO back in 2014 with an entire system dedicated to it, with the Elder Scrolls Online team even promising back in 2017 that they haven't forgotten about it and will bring it back. The system was quite in-depth and featured hunting for and collecting a variety of different runic tablets in both nature and appearance, discovering incantations, combining different runes to craft or modify a flexible variety of spells, including ultimates with strengths and drawbacks, and even non-combat skills for things like fishing. Well, that's all we're covering in this video for today. What content do you think would have made ESO better? Would you still want some of the content we've covered in this video now? Let me know down in the comments below, and in the meantime, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.